before 2. Before that, though, 3 charities in Stoke-on-Trent have been helping rough sleepers through the pandemic and have been awarded some funding from government to carry on with it. Honeycomb Charitable Services, which used to be Arch North Staffs, is getting just under £58,000. The Gingerbread Centre will receive £27,000 and Christian charity Saltbox will get £45,000. Let's find out how they'll spend it. Lloyd Cooke is from Saltbox and with us on BBC Radio Stoke this lunchtime. Thanks for coming on, Lloyd. This sounds like good news on the face of it. How will you be using £45,000 to help rough sleepers in the city?
Hi, Stuart. Good to be with you. Yeah, it is great news, actually. It's fabulous news, like lots of charities. The current situation has been really difficult. Donations are down, grants not available. So to get this grant is absolutely brilliant. We're currently working with over 100 people who would normally be homeless in the city. And what this means is that we're able to give them additional support, emergency provision. We've got some of them, sadly, because they're very vulnerable with their health, who are having to self-isolate. So we're having to do more for them, drop food parcels off, sort prescriptions out, a whole series of things that hopefully means that some of our more vulnerable local people will be safe going forward into the future.
I'm hoping I've got this wrong, but just in my mind, when you talk about homeless people isolating, I've got this horrible notion of them being holed up in B&Bs or hotels somewhere and not being allowed out of the room. What's it really like?
Well, that is the case for some, but for our clients, say we've got over 100, we house them locally, and so they're able to stay in their own house. Our staff visit them, our staff check that they're okay, our staff check if they need anything, and if they can't go out, then we'll go and fetch it for them. We're also currently, interestingly, picking up the question you asked, we're also working with the City Council, as some of the other charities are as well, around the whole area of what's called Everyone In. You'll remember that when this COVID crisis happened, the government required every local authority to basically provide somewhere for people who were homeless. So they've gone into a number of local hotels. So we are now working with the City Council, as I say, as others are, to help them move on from accommodation in hotels into some better accommodation, more appropriate accommodation for them. So that's part of what we're doing as well, saying how can we help these people move on into something that's more appropriate, where they get even more support.
What kind of challenges has COVID brought to people who are homeless? I mean, I would have thought just trying to keep healthy at the best of times when you're sleeping rough, for example, is difficult, but this is a whole other thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for all of us. Let's say that first of all. As you know, as a charity, we also work with lots of elderly, vulnerable people. So giving them help and support has been really important. They have a whole series of issues around them, but equally, people who are homeless or who are in danger of being homeless, they equally have issues as well. Some of these people have mental health issues, Stuart. So again, helping them to just understand how they keep themselves safe. Normally they just go out because that's what they do. They normally meet with friends because that's what they would do. So trying to just help them to understand the seriousness of the situation, trying to help them to isolate when that's appropriate, and then making sure that we can give them what they need. We've actually started with our clients asking them what they would like, not just what they would need. So someone's wanted, I think, a Harry Potter box set. So we've managed to get a box set of DVDs so they can watch Harry Potter. Some have wanted some books, so we've got some books. Some wanted some jigsaws. So it's not just what we need in terms of a prescription or some emergency food. We've also tried to find some things that would just bless people and just help them when they're having to stay in by themselves.
Yeah, we need to live, not just exist, don't we?
Yeah, and you know what? We're all, I think, struggling with some of the stress, some of the mental health of just being isolated for so long, not seeing family, friends, not seeing grandchildren. Everyone is struggling, even those of us who possibly think we're quite strong. The only good thing is the weather's been pretty good in the last month or so. Just means we can just pop a head out and it's not wet. But it's a struggle for everyone. those who've perhaps got some mental health issues or who've been homeless. It's equally difficult for them as well. And so I think, we're all trying to care. We're all trying to care that bit more. We're all trying to go the extra mile. And this sort of funding for people like Saltbox and Honeycomb and Gingerbread, it's really important to help us to go and do that extra bit. And just to show that we care, just to try and make sure that people who are vulnerable look after themselves as well as they possibly can.
Lloyd, good to talk to you as always. Thanks very much for sharing what you're going to be spending that money on. Lloyd Cooke with us from Saltbox on BBC Radio Stoke.